Welcome back
to Marriage Beyond the Veil. So, yesterday we were talking about syntax errors that could be considered like in a marriage. And I said possibly
personalities
or
and love languages. Right. Okay.
So, actually, what personality trait you could not deal with absolutely jealousy?
Because people can really lose it when jealousy is one of their modus of operandi.
Okay. And I said I just don't like passive aggressive. I don't like people that, sort of beat around the bush. I just prefer for you just to be straight out. I can take it. I feel better if you just hit me, and then I can just get up and keep going on. Versus, hemming and hawing and all that kind of stuff. But, now they have these long list of personalities. And so they have stuff like the provider, the idealist, the performer, the champion, the doer. I know a lot of people like that. Doers. The supervisor. Nope, couldn't do that one either. The commander. Yeah, I feel like that's probably somebody that wants to take charge all the time. The thinker. Yeah, that could be that one. The nurturer. That could be you. The visionary. I like that. The composer.
Is there a question or a statement anywhere in this?
I was just curious. Anyway, with that said, what personality types do you think are the most detrimental in a love relationship besides jealousy?
What was I going to say? Well,
and as a manager, I know you've dealt with them all.
When you talk about one of the ones that you mentioned from your list there, commander, somebody that has to always be in control or in charge. And that can be problematic.
Yeah.
When you talk about a love relationship, even though, there has to be opportunities where someone has to be able to make a final decision about certain things or whatever. But when you're talking about everything, and having somebody basically approach the relationship in a very dictatorial manner, or authoritarian kind of manner that, it doesn't lend itself to be able to share best practices for everyone in the relationship to bring to the table what they bring and make the contributions that they do without being second guessed, without being belittled or, devalued.
And I also think, and I know people say, really, the giver and the doer, and I think those can be very problematic because I believe that eventually a person gets more out. So if you're always giving, always doing, I believe that eventually you get tired of being that person, of always saying that you're extending yourself and not really getting...
But, I think, and where I would have to, I guess, kind of...
Disagree?
Not necessarily disagree, but just add a caveat. Okay. If we're talking personality traits, then that's basically, I would imagine, who you are.
That's true.
At your core.
That is true.
So it's not likely that if you're a doer, that you'll resent doing, because it's just innately a part of who you are, I would imagine.
Hopefully.
That's just my thought. Now, if you're doing because you're trying to impress, you're sending the representative,
right.
Then of course that person will be burnt out because I'm doing all of this stuff, I believe when you're being authentically who you are, you're not keeping a record of what's been done or what hasn't been done. And of course, we know that that's not a loving act anyway. Because love keeps no record of wrongs or, opportunities. I did it this many times. You done it this many.
Right.
Yeah. I think when one operates out of authentically who they are, they just do what they do because that's what they choose to do. And that is another reason for being authentically you.
That's right.
So that you won't have opportunities where there are divisions and there are arguments and everything because you're doing something that you got no business doing anyway. Right. Because if it's not genuinely you, leave it alone.
Okay. All right. Well said.
Until tomorrow. if the Lord says the same.
Have a good evening.